Being a celebrity assistant sounds fun, right? Not so much for these ones who have spilled evil secrets about their bosses that could ruin their lives. Naomi Campbell. By now, everyone knows the horror that comes with working with supermodel Naomi Campbell. According to People magazine, Campbell allegedly threw a phone at her assistant in 2001. The assistant also claimed that the model grabbed her by the arms and threw her down on a couch. In February of 2000, Campbell pleaded guilty to a separate charge for actually beating up an assistant. Now, in September of 2016, Campbell faced more legal trouble after allegedly attacking a former public schoolboy with a phone. Again, another phone, leaving a bruise on his face. Now, the unnamed young man who works for a PR firm and was hired to actually help, rehabilitate Campbell's public image, was visiting her in a hotel in Manhattan when the scuffle broke out. Everyone has a different version of what happened, so it's impossible to really know what exactly went down. Campbell was apparently recovering from surgery at the time of the incident, casting, a pall of doubt kind of over whether she was actually, capable of attacking anyone. It's worth noting Lord Bell, founder of the PR firm working with Campbell, called Campbell the most unpleasant fashion model in the world. That's coming from a man who previously worked with the notorious tyrant Margaret Thatcher. Mariah Carey is next. Let's talk about Mariah Carey's former assistant, Liana Azarian. In 2019, Liana sued Mariah for unpaid wages and revealed some shocking secrets about the singer's behavior. In the original lawsuit, Carey accused Liana, whom she reportedly fired in 2017, of secretly recording embarrassing videos of her performing various personal activities, including some cases intimate content. Now, according to the pop star, her ex-employee then attempted to blackmail her with those videos, threatening to release them unless she was given $8 million. Carey also claimed that she violated a non-disclosure agreement that she signed when she began working for her back in 2015. On the same day that Carey filed her lawsuit, Liana filed a lawsuit of her own, claiming, she was the victim of battery and harassment during the, approximately 2 years that she worked for the musician before actually being wrongfully terminated. According to Liana, Mariah would often demand ridiculous things like having her assistant fetch her ice cream at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Liana also claimed that Mariah would frequently, berate her and just make her feel belittled. Carey went on to accuse her of destroying some of the evidence at the center of this lawsuit that the singer says would have bolstered, her case against her. Justice Borak sided with Carey, granting her request to penalize her former assistant and issuing sanctions after he found that Liana did in fact destroy 2 videos and WhatsApp messages that might have actually been relevant to the case. He also determined that after the lawsuit had already been filed, Liana spilled, water over her old cell phone before giving it away, which he found was destruction of evidence. Borak wrote in his decision, trading in her cell phone without taking any measures to save the videos, messages, and any other data after this lawsuit was filed when Miss Azarian had an undeniable duty to preserve evidence, was grossly negligent, if not intentional. He ordered her to turn over, her current cell phone for forensic examination and pay Carey's attorney fees for that specific matter. Lady Gaga is up. Lady Gaga's former assistant Jennifer O'Neill in 2013 sued Lady Gaga for unpaid overtime and revealed some surprising secrets about the singer's lifestyle. This long-suffering former assistant, whom the star branded as a hood rat during a bruising court battle, is working on a dishy book about the singer called Fame Monster. O'Neill had worked for Gaga during, the Born This Way era, during 2009 actually to 2011. Now, this was for her Monster Ball tour, and she actually sued in 2011, claiming that she was owed a whopping $393,000 for about 7,168 hours of overtime, plus damages. She struck a deal with Simon & Schuster imprint, which is for Atria Books. Now, insiders said the deal could be worth up to $1 million million at the time now, which more than makes up for all the overtime O'Neal claims that she was forced to work for Gaga, including sleeping in her boss's bed and administering her daily medicine. Now, according to Jennifer, Lady Gaga would often require her assistant to be on call 24/7 and would demand very bizarre things like having her assistant massage her feet. Now, Paul Oleski, which is Atria's Book's vice president and director of publicity, confirmed that they had a book deal with O'Neal, adding that no release date had been set at the time for the book Fame Monster. While O'Neal has not yet delivered her manuscript to Atria after all this time, her Manhattan federal court battle with Gaga provided a glimpse of some fascinating potential, material. Now, O'Neal testified that she was required to sleep in Gaga's bed because she didn't sleep alone and was expected to be working again 24/7 around the clock doing really odd demands. And that was for an annual salary of $75,000. O'Neal said, she had no privacy, no chance to talk to any family, friends, no chance to do anything. There was basically not an opportunity for her to live her life. Gaga fought the suit and blasted her former aide in a sworn deposition as, she called her a hood rat who was suing her for money that she just didn't earn. The star declared in court papers that, I am the queen of the universe every day and, I am quite wonderful to everybody that works for me. Now, in October of 2013, Gaga agreed to actually settle O'Neal's suit out of court and terms were not disclosed. Kanye West. Kanye's former assistant David Weather spilled some secrets about the rapper's behavior. In 2014, David claimed that Kanye would often have massive tantrums and would demand ridiculous things, like having his assistant find him a very specific type of cereal. None of this is surprising, and in more recent times, Kanye's West's ex-assistant Lauren Piscotah had filed a lawsuit accusing him of attacking her. The lawsuit also reveals disturbing text messages between West and his now wife, Bianca Censori. Piscotah alleges an incident involving sedating occurred during a studio session in Santa Monica, causing her to feel disoriented and lose control over her body. Piscotah, while sharing details, mentioned that the rapper ordered her a drink, after which she began feeling out of touch, and she said the next morning when she woke up, she had no recollection of what had happened, but just knew that something was really wrong and felt this immense shame and embarrassment. The studio session is alleged to have happened years before Piscotah actually worked for Kanye in 2021 and 2022. Now, Kanye was allegedly upset that his ex-wife Kim Kardashian commented on the rapper and Piscotah hanging out. She claimed that Kanye told Kardashian the two hooked up and left out the actual true nature and severity of what he did to her. After Piscotah actually informed Kanye that she couldn't recall the night at the studio, he allegedly kind of just laughed it off and said, "Oh, women love to say they don't remember." A representative for Kanye, in a statement to the Washington Post in June of last year, criticized the baseless allegations against him and wrote that Piscotah, actively pursued him to coerce employment and other material benefits, then engaged in blackmail and extortion when her advances were rejected. Next up, we have Victoria and David Beckham. Now, in 2008, David Beckham and Victoria's nanny, Abby Gibson, was terminated from her job after getting into a very heated argument with Victoria. In retaliation, she actually ran to News of the World to give a tell-all interview about what the Beckhams were like and spilled some secrets about the family. Behind Closed Doors was actually the name of the article that was published. Now, in this interview, she revealed that the famous Brits, perfect family facade was mostly fabricated for the press, and that David and Victoria often argued, and in front of the kids, allegedly. Now, she also explained that the famous spouses almost got divorced while Victoria was still pregnant with her third child, Cruz. However, after, her scathing interview, Abby, who broke her confidentiality agreement, was sent to court for breaking her contract. In 2009, she was forced to issue a public apology to the Beckhams for revealing their secrets and has agreed, to permanent undertakings of confidentiality. In 2005, Hugh Tomlinson, Queen's counsel for the Beckhams, told the court it is uniquely hurtful and distressing to have the person who, until the end of March of that year, was sitting around the breakfast table with them, and their children discussing their daily lives, having her repeat that information is alarming. Charlie Sheen's former assistant Rick Calamaro revealed some shocking secrets about the actor's behavior. According to Rick, Charlie would often have wild parties and would demand that his assistants clean up after him. Now, he said that Sheen allegedly would stay up for days on end with like zero sleep, no water in his body, wouldn't eat, and would demand that everyone cater to him constantly, and even allegedly had people perform, for his entertainment, doing random things just to make him laugh. Rick, who's actually a former Hollywood nightclub owner, met the actor back in 2006, and in 2010 actually joined Camp Sheen full-time as an assistant. Now, Rick was reportedly, by Sheen's side for many of his legendary antics in Vegas, LA, and New York, and in a very shocking turn of events though, Rick was actually found passed away in his home surrounded by prescription meds and booze. Now, he allegedly was laying passed away for several days before he was even found. Sheen never commented on his passing either, which is a little weird, and a lot of people blamed Rick for Charlie, going crazy and partying too hard during those days, but many people also said they had been best friends for years and just enabled each other in their antics. Now, it was obvious that they were poor influences on each other, no doubt. Sheen has frequently stated that he does not believe rehab actually works, and the friends, he has shared many common dependency, habits on and lifestyle similarities is to what's to blame, basically.
Justin Bieber recently parted ways with his personal assistant, but some sources say that Justin had actually fired the man 5 years ago. The reason right now for the split is because the assistant was looking to focus on his acting career. He had been working for the famous couple since 2018. The downsizing seems to be a trend for Bieber lately. His team keeps getting smaller, and he recently unfollowed a bunch of past co-workers and friends, so this is actually not that out of the ordinary right now. Sources claiming to be close to the situation, of course, claim that the assistant actually left Bieber because they were worried about his erratic behavior as of late. But up next with Lady Gaga and the mess from 2013. A former assistant and friend filed a lawsuit back in 2011, but the ball wasn't rolling until a couple years later. The assistant, Jennifer O'Neill, was suing Gaga for unpaid overtime, an alleged 7,168 hours of it, which is almost $400,000. Gaga did end up sharing her side of the story in her deposition. The singer said that she doesn't pay overtime and never has, and this being the second time the assistant worked for her, she should have been familiar with that policy. Gaga also appeared to say O'Neill had it good because she was jetting around the world with her, sleeping in expensive hotels, and also literally sleeping in those beds. Plus, there was the food and the parties that she got to experience. Gaga even alleged that O'Neill asked famous designers to send her free things and used Gaga's discounts at their stores without permission. Now, the thing is, Gaga definitely said some rude things during this deposition, so it's clear that both sides had some stuff to work on. Gaga also said that O'Neill just wasn't a very good assistant, citing things like not helping the star get set up when traveling, which might seem a bit ridiculous, asking someone else to go get your toothbrush for you, but remember that Lady Gaga can't just walk down a street to the nearest corner store without risk of being mobbed by fans. Rumor is the assistant is writing a book about her experiences, but it's been over a decade now and crickets, so who knows if that's really happening in the end or if any of this even happened at all. Now, no one else on this list is going to have quite as much trouble as Taryn Manning's ex-assistant did. So much trouble that the pair ended up in court. When you hear celebrity assistant horror stories, it's usually things that are just kind of like weird situations like the Lady Gaga stuff, but it's rare that you hear about legit violence. Taryn Manning's assistant happened to be an unlucky one. The actress was charged back in 2012 with a misdemeanor after the assistant accused of coming into violent physical contact with her, restricting her airflow and scratching. Taryn's representation apparently kept downplaying the whole thing and even referred to the assistant as a member of the family, saying that this was all just personal issues. Still, the judge ordered the actress to stay away from her ex-assistant, and the assistant later ended up forgiving the star in the end. Now, I think we all remember the iconic film The Devil Wears Prada. Turns out that fiction was based on fact. The author was an assistant to Anna Wintour before writing the book, so it's safe to assume that she pulled from her personal experiences, which is probably why it's so good. Although, like most things, it's made larger than life for entertainment purposes. Although, I wouldn't be surprised if Wintour did have assistants on hand just to help her remember people's names. She is one of the most famous people in the fashion world after all. Moving on to Kim K's ex-assistant, who shared some interesting facts about how the woman looks so good all the time. At least, the word on the street is, it was an ex-assistant that said all this. The earliest mention I can find citing this simply says a source, but other articles are adamant that it was an ex-assistant. The secret in question is apparently when Kim K gets fat removed from her body, she allegedly freezes it to use in other spots on her body. Popular ways to use it would be like fillers or in rear enhancements. The source claimed that the latter was what Kim K used it for. The star is adamant that she does not have implants, so this would be an alternative should her body type not be natural. Of course, all this info came out roughly a decade ago and hasn't moved past speculation, so it's up to you what you want to think. Supermodel Naomi Campbell has made a name for herself as a supermodel fashion diva, but also seemingly a danger to those that she employs. Many employees have come forward with various stories of the supermodel acting rudely towards them. One personal assistant even called out the model for getting physically violent with her in 2000. Vanessa Frisbee claimed that she was attacked during an argument with the star. Of course, Campbell said this never happened and sued Frisbee, specifically for breach of contract. In the end, the case was thrown out. But then, another PA came forward in 2004. This time, the claim was they were held hostage in an LA hotel where a phone was thrown at them. Again, this was denied, and again, the case was dropped. But then here we are back at it in 2005, when another assistant accused the model of hurting her with a, and this is a direct quote, jewel-encrusted BlackBerry. Denied again. There were technically more people that accused the model of mean things, but those are all the assistants. Lindsay Lohan is doing quite well now, but it's hard to forget that she basically pinned her 2012 car crash on her assistant Gavin Doyle. Back in the early 2010s, Lohan's Porsche rear-ended a truck. The star allegedly told police that she was in the passenger seat, and Gavin Doyle, her assistant, was the driver. Except when police spoke to Gavin, his story was flipped. Eventually, through other evidence, police concluded that Gavin was telling the truth. Gavin ended up bailing Lohan out after it all, but she apparently was still angry with him considering she kicked him out of the car. The pair seemed to patch things up later on, but it was quite a moment while it was happening. One thing about the early 2000s, they were messy, and Jessica Simpson's past assistant was no stranger to being messy. The woman decided to speak to the star and spread some rumors about Simpson, like that she doesn't pay at restaurants because she believes her star power is good enough, which is completely wild to think about, so thank goodness there isn't much evidence out there to prove it. Of course, not trying to say that this never happened, I don't know, I wasn't there. However, there is one pretty famous restaurant story that makes me less inclined to believe this little piece of gossip. Last year, Simpson left a $300 tip on a $500 check with a sweet note. So, who knows what kind of person Simpson was in a restaurant 20 years ago, but today she seems like the right kind of guest. Madonna herself revealed that she has an assistant for a very specific and very strange role, the food police. When you're off traveling the world and performing for adoring crowds, you're thinking so much about others that you sometimes forget yourself. And for Madonna, that means she sometimes just forgets to eat. And hey, happens to the best of us. Plus, she's a perfectionist, so she wants to make sure everything on the tour is perfect, especially her eating patterns. And if you can afford to pay someone to check in on you, why not? They are also making sure she drinks water too, of course. Rumor is that Sarah Jessica Parker wants her assistants as smart as possible, which, you know, that makes sense, but apparently an Ivy League education is practically a job offer. Parker is known for having really good relationships with her assistants. She was even a bridesmaid to a past assistant of hers. Although, what makes her celebrity secret my personal favorite of the list is it's a little bit out there. Somewhere along the way, a past staff member claimed that SJP practices witchcraft. Yeah, I fear something got a little bit lost in translation here. See, there's nothing online to suggest that Sarah Jessica Parker is a full witch, other than her role in Hocus Pocus, of course. My guess is things got a little murky when Sarah Jessica Parker learned of a past ancestor. She is actually related to a woman imprisoned during the Salem witch trials. So her Hocus Pocus character actually hits closer to home than she thought. And even if she is following her however many greats grandmother's footsteps and practicing a little witchcraft, Good for her.
In 2008, David Beckham and Victoria Beckham's nanny, Abby Gibson, was terminated from her job after getting into a heated argument with Victoria. In retaliation, she actually ran to News of the World to give a tell-all interview about what the Beckhams were like behind closed doors, which would actually then become the actual title of the article. Now, in her interview, she revealed that the famous British perfect family facade was mostly fabricated for the press and that David and Victoria often argued, like a lot. She also explained that the famous spouses almost got divorced while Victoria was still pregnant with their third child, Cruz. However, after her scathing interview, Abby, who broke her confidentiality agreement, was actually sent to court for breaking her contract. In 2009, she was forced to issue a public apology to the Beckhams for revealing their secrets and has agreed to permanent undertakings of confidentiality. Now, in 2005, Hugh Tomlinson, Queen's counsel for the Beckhams, told the court it is uniquely hurtful and distressing to have the person who until the end of March this year was sitting around the breakfast table with them and their children discussing their daily lives, and repeating that information. Mariah Carey apparently doesn't watch the news. Producer Damian Young, who worked with Mariah during the 90s and eventually became her close friend, described the pop star as lonely and said she lived inside like a bubble. He went on to say, she didn't watch the news, she didn't watch entertainment shows or read the magazines because she was worried about reading mean things about herself. She's sensitive and, that is nothing compared though to actually one of her former assistants who claimed that she was subjected to physical and emotional trauma at the hands of Mariah's manager. Now, Liana Shaknazaran filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court claiming that she was tormented by the singer and the singer's former manager. According to the suit, she was hired by Carey, offered a salary of over $300,000 a year. She said she had to be on call 24/7 hours a day. The assistant actually said she was subjected to this, mistreatment mainly by Mariah's former manager, but Mariah was allegedly in the room whenever it would happen and did absolutely nothing to stop it. In a turn of events though, Mariah then sued Liana, claiming she is a grifter and extortionist. Carey sued also for invasion of privacy, breach of contract, and breach of fiduciary duty. Allegedly, Liana filmed Mariah engaged in personal activities without Mariah's permission. Both parties ended up reaching a mutual agreement. Nothing further has actually come from it, so that's good. Oprah Winfrey only drinks Diet Coke. Now, this isn't like the craziest story, but it's kind of funny, so I wanted to give it an honorable mention. According to an anonymous staffer who actually worked at Harpo Productions, where they filmed the Oprah Winfrey Show, Oprah would only drink Diet Coke and she hated Pepsi. However, the vending machine at the studio only served Pepsi, which forced her staffers to serve her Pepsi that they actually called Coke. Now, one unfortunate employee didn't get that memo. He shared his story saying, "When I first started, I was asked to go get a Diet Coke. I saw that the machine was all Pepsi products, so I hauled my behind over to a Subway, bought a Diet Coke, and came back. I took it into the senior producer's office, who said, 'Where the heck have you been? We needed that yesterday.' I told her I went across the street to get a Diet Coke since that's what they asked for. She said, 'You're so stupid. When they ask for a Diet Coke, they mean, they get a Diet Pepsi.' That's when I knew my days at Harpo were limited." He got fired all because of this very small mix-up. Ouch. Christian Bale was depressed during his early years as an actor. Harrison Chung, who worked as Christian's assistant/publicist back before the actor became really famous, said the star was really depressed and just under tremendous pressure to support his parents and his sisters through his acting career. He said, I would always joke with him that he was the saddest guy I knew. He had the whole top floor of the house and he would stay there for days listening to music or reading. He was very moody. Harrison also explained the bizarre ways Christian's family would motivate him to continue working. He said every morning his father would prepare Christian's breakfast tray, scrambled eggs with some baked beans, like a real English tea type breakfast, walk up the stairs yelling, "Who is the greatest actor in the world?" And then he said you'd hear this small voice coming back just saying, I am. Lil Wayne is next. In late 2022, Young Money Entertainment and Signature Flight Support were all sued by Wayne's former assistant Andrew Williams after he made some bombshell allegations about the notorious rapper. In legal documents, the former assistant actually accused Wayne of multiple things, including both attacks and battery, while also alleging Wayne had caused him what he described as emotional distress. In this suit, Andrew actually claims that Wayne and the pilot had an argument before takeoff. Andrew said he tried to stop the argument from getting physical, which he claimed, upset Wayne and led to the rapper punching him in the face with a closed fist. But not so fast, at least according to Wayne, that is, because Wayne denied all allegations of wrongdoing or that Andrew was harmed by him at all. Wayne argued that his actions were done in self-defense. As of January 2023, the situation between the two is still yet to be resolved in court. Actor Amber Heard's personal life has been dissected publicly thanks to her high-profile legal dramas, with one of the most famous ones being her notorious 2022 defamation trial with ex-husband Johnny Depp. As part of that trial, her former assistant Kate James testified, and she made some pretty shocking allegations about what being in Heard's presence, when she worked for her from 2012 and 2015 was really like. James claimed in court that Heard would often scream at her and allegedly used illegal substances. Now, James wasn't quite done there, as she also accused Heard of spitting in her face during her employment. But that was hardly the first time James made some dark allegations about her former employer. 2 years earlier, James spoke out against Heard in another trial, this time when Depp took on British tabloid The Sun over an op-ed piece that Heard had written for the outlet. Variety reported that James accused Heard of purportedly sending, her aggressive messages early in the morning on more than one occasion. James also claimed Heard took her personal story of being a SA survivor and used it as her own. Heard told the court that her former assistant was not easy to work with. She said James' behavior was horrible. Another star who isn't immune to serious allegations from their former assistant, none other than Robert De Niro. Graham Chase Robinson accused the actor of allegedly touching her without her permission and making lewd comments while in her presence. Not only that, but Robinson said she was asked to do tasks she wasn't expecting while working for the Meet the Parents star, including household chores and even scratching him on the back. Yes, she alleged that De Niro made the request on numerous occasions and once told her, "I like the way you do it." She also said De Niro and his family would regularly call the bat phone, meaning her work cell phone, and that was like after office hours. She said whenever it rang, whether it was 5 in the morning, 10 at night, you would pick up. As for what De Niro had to say about the allegations, he made it pretty clear he wasn't about to co-sign on his former assistant's take on the events, with his lawyer telling a news blog the allegations made by Graham against De Niro are beyond absurd. But that wasn't the only drama in this situation, as Robinson's allegations came as part of a countersuit. De Niro and Cannell Productions, had actually filed a lawsuit against Robinson that same year, accusing her of not doing her job properly. The company alleged Robinson had a tendency to buy things using the company card and supposedly enjoyed watching too much TV or Netflix while she was supposed to be working.
Jennifer Lopez is notorious for her diva demands. No white flowers in her dressing room, fresh blooms daily, and a strict no eye contact rule for her staff. But just how far does her need for control go? Is it perfectionism or something more unsettling? Jennifer Lopez is known for her high standards and demand for perfection, both on and off the stage. One of JLo's more famous demands involves flowers. Specifically, she insists no white or cream flowers be in her dressing room. She prefers only colorful flowers to enhance the mood of her environment. She also requests fresh flowers every day, and if they aren't up to her standard, they're replaced. If that wasn't enough, she also has a no eye contact rule. Some sources claim that concert crew members are instructed to avoid looking at her directly. Similar stories circulate about staff at venues like casinos, who are allegedly told not to make eye contact. Even her hired drivers have been the subject of these claims, with some alleging they are told not to look at her, even in the rearview mirror. While Beyoncé is known for her incredible talent and work ethic, she also has a reputation for having high standards and specific demands. Beyoncé's backstage demands aren't just requests, they're royal decrees. Forget lukewarm water. Her alkaline water must be chilled to precisely 21 degrees Fahrenheit, served with $900 titanium straws, because regular straws are clearly beneath her. Red toilet paper? A non-negotiable essential, apparently. And don't even think about a previously used toilet seat. Brand new ones are installed at every venue, no exceptions. Her crew? They must be draped in 100% cotton clothing, from head to toe. No blends, no synthetics, just pure unadulterated cotton. And after she's wowed the crowd, forget ordinary ice cubes. Beyoncé's delicate throat requires hand-carved ice balls for optimal soothing. Is it diva behavior or simply demanding the best? You be the judge. But one thing's for sure, Queen Bey knows what she wants and she's not afraid to ask for it. Celine Dion may have one of the most powerful voices in the world, but behind the scenes, she's known for her diva-like demands. Celine's requests often leave people talking. She even has a no-shoes rule for anyone entering her personal space and demands absolute quiet when she's preparing for a show. While many see it as her way of maintaining peak performance, others can't help but wonder if it's a little over the top. She also requests for not one, but 2 humidifiers in every hotel room, one for the bedroom and another for the bathroom. But it doesn't stop there. Celine also insists on at least 10 towels. Yes, 10 at her disposal at all times. This isn't just about comfort, it's a way for her to ensure she has exactly what she needs to feel refreshed and ready for her demanding performances. And when it comes to her facial care, she's very specific about the brand of tissue she uses. Only one particular brand will do, and it's reportedly non-negotiable. Mariah Carey's known for her diva moments, and this one time, it was all about Christmas. For a 2009 Christmas gig at a London shopping center, Mariah reportedly asked for 20 white kittens and 100 white doves to greet her. The doves apparently made the cut, but the kittens? Nope. Health and safety rules put the kibosh on that one. It's just another story in the Mariah Carey book of over-the-top requests. Mariah Carey's dressing room demands are legendary, often featuring all-white or cream decor, plush seating, and elaborate floral arrangements. Scented candles, specific food and beverage requests, and a precisely maintained temperature are also common. A dedicated staff is typically required to cater to her every need, ensuring a luxurious and personalized experience. While details vary, the emphasis is always on creating a comfortable and diva-worthy environment. Justin Timberlake is known for having a few quirky demands when he's on the road. While not as extreme as some other stars, his requests still paint a picture of a man who likes things just right. There's this rumor about Justin Timberlake that he's super picky when he travels. Apparently, he sometimes demands an entire hotel floor for himself and his crew, which makes sense if you want some privacy, right? But the craziest part is that he supposedly has staff going around and disinfecting all the doorknobs every 2 hours. Talk about a germaphobe. Now, who knows if it's totally true, but it's definitely a story that gets around. Maybe he was just really worried about getting sick on tour one time, or maybe it's just a funny exaggeration. Either way, it paints a picture. He also reportedly insists on having his favorite snacks, like peanut M&Ms and Chobani yogurt, stocked in his hotel rooms at all times. But that's not all. He also demands a fully equipped gym wherever he stays. And not just any gym, but one that meets his exacting standards. Who knew JT's road routine was all about luxury snacks and elite fitness? Talk about a diva move. Tom Cruise, known for doing his own stunts, prefers to wear thongs for action sequences. Apparently, he finds them more comfortable and they allow for greater flexibility during those intense scenes. And it's not just 1 or 2 thongs. The rumor claims he insists on having around 50 soft, stretchy thongs on set at all times. This way, he always has a fresh pair ready to go. It's a pretty wild claim, and it's definitely become a part of the Tom Cruise lore. Whether it's completely true or just a funny exaggeration, it's a story that people love to talk about. If that wasn't enough, Tom Cruise has a crazy on-set rule: no running. Seriously, actress Annabelle Wallis revealed that Cruise initially told her no one runs on screen with him. Can you believe it? Apparently, he's the only one allowed to do that iconic Cruise run. Madonna's diva demands will shock you. Okay, let's spill the tea on Madonna's backstage demands because, let's be real, they're pretty extra. First off, forget sharing a toilet seat. Madonna reportedly needs a brand new one installed at every single venue she plays. Is it a superstition? A germ thing? We may never know. Then there's the flower situation. No random bouquets for the queen of pop. Her dressing room must be decked out with very specific arrangements. Think lilies and light pink roses. And the stems, they have to be exactly 6 inches long. Not a millimeter more, not a millimeter less. And finally, because hydration is key, Madonna reportedly requires cases of Kabbalah water. It's not just any H2O, it's a special kind associated with the Kabbalah Center. So yeah, Madonna's backstage rider is a fascinating mix of practical needs, personal preferences, and maybe a touch of divaness. Hold on to your hats, because Kanye's demands are next level. We're talking about a guy who reportedly insists on a discontinued and incredibly rare sound system, the Genelec 1031A, for his performances. Finding these speakers is like searching for a unicorn. Good luck to his crew. And it's not just a one-off thing. Rumor has it Kanye has a thing for discontinued items in general, sending his team on wild goose chases for things that haven't been made in years. Why? Who knows? But the real shocker? His Yeezy fashion shows are run with an iron fist. Models aren't just told what to wear. They're given strict instructions, including an absolute no smiling rule. Apparently, joy is not on the Yeezy agenda. It's like a dystopian fashion parade. His team must be available 24/7. Kanye has a reputation for being a night owl, and his work schedule can be unpredictable. His staff is often expected to be on call 24/7, no matter the time of day or night, if he needs something done. He's even known to request changes to his projects in the middle of the night. These demands are part of what makes Kanye such a unique and sometimes challenging figure in the world of entertainment and fashion. He operates on his own wavelength, which can lead to some wild working conditions for those around him. So, yeah, Kanye's demands are a fascinating mix of artistic vision, a love for the obscure, and a serious dose of control. Love him or hate him, you gotta admit, the guy's got opinions.
Number 10. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan is known for a lot of things in this world, okay? Her public meltdown, her ability to get estranged parents back together, and of course, her penchant for the partying lifestyle. As you can imagine, it's not easy being someone that works at one of these events, especially considering that they work for a woman that would regularly wake up late in the day and hung over a railing. Only she wasn't on a railing. Unfortunately, many people know that dealing with someone who wakes up late in the day after a long night of no-no juice-induced good times is a difficult person to deal with. Recently, some of Lohan's staff members have confided that she often wakes up at noon at the earliest. Naturally, she's always in a terrible mood and is extremely short with her staff. They claim that Lindsay would regularly take her frustrations out on her staff members simply because they were there and they were easy targets. They said that it should be a law if you deal with someone like Lindsay that an automatic bonus should be thrust into your bank account. Imagine if the lead of Herbie Fully Loaded started yelling at you at 12 in the afternoon. Beep beep, I quit. Number 9. Rihanna. Is it really a shock to learn that Rihanna does not talk to the hired help? Ignoring somebody is one of the meanest things that you can do to a person, making them feel like they do not exist or are not on the same level as you, and they do not deserve to be acknowledged. Most celebrities know not to do this, but others seem to only have a negative setting in their soul. Over the years, it's been said that pop singing sensation Rihanna doesn't even look or speak to her staff. An anonymous source revealed that Rihanna literally refers to the staff as hired help. She also falls asleep when she is getting her makeup done, which must be so great for everybody in the room. Rihanna just snoring in a chair and someone running around being like, "It's okay, she's just warming her voice up, guys, it's fine." Rihanna is also known for being pretty rude to her fans as well. One lady won backstage passes for herself and her family, and when they went back to do the meet and greet portion of their tickets, Rihanna didn't even face them and actually asked one of her assistants to come and sign something for them, sitting in her makeup chair like a Disney villain shooing people away. Number 8. George Clooney. George Clooney is the epitome of class, okay? Just watch his Nespresso commercial with Danny DeVito. These two were meant to be together. He is known to be very charming, especially when meeting fans or appearing at red carpet events. But it turns out that George Clooney is not exactly the easiest man to work for. Apparently, George is a little bit stingy and is extremely paranoid that people will take advantage of him, meaning that he is very untrusting of his staff. According to disgraced former employees who left in shame, Clooney's staff are not allowed to go anywhere near the no-no juice chamber, or cabinet as most people call it. George is reportedly nervous that someone will try to steal a sip of some of his more expensive options. The staff alleged that George would mark his bottles after each use so that he could actually see where the liquid was the last time that he had himself a glass. After each and every use, this man was just whipping out a marker and just notching away and just remarking and remarking. Hey, paranoia is one thing, but that is next level, okay? Just get a little bottle lock or something more complicated. I feel like there are some easy ways to get around that if you really dedicated your time to it. I'm not gonna do that, but someone might. Number 7, Beyonce. Beyonce has 3 simple rules if you work for her on tour. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And in other words, don't look at Beyonce, don't talk to Beyonce, don't even listen to Beyonce. Maybe not that last one, but you get my point. Beyonce is a massive star now, but even 10 years back, she was considered to be a major diva that felt that she was above everybody else. While she was on tour in 2013, all local staff were advised not to look or speak or approach Beyonce. They were explicitly told that if she was walking down a hall towards them, to find an unlocked room and get in there as soon as possible, out of sight, out of mind. On top of that, everything backstage had to be draped in linen, which then had to be smoothed out after she would walk on it. Now, if that's how rude she was in 2013, imagine what she must be like now. She probably has someone fanning her in a chair between sets, while another person feeds her grapes and does her taxes. Luxury. That is luxury. Number 6, Zooey Deschanel. New girl Zooey Deschanel is known in Hollywood as a lovable, dorky little lady. She's so pure and innocent, and she dated Jim Carrey and Yes Man for some reason. Such a good movie, I'm not gonna bash on it. But it's not just Hollywood that knows Zooey as a lovable dork, her fans do too. There is no way that she would have a mean bone in her body, right? Well, it turns out that Deschanel is actually very rude and reportedly very demanding. While working on the set of the sitcom New Girl, several former staff members claimed that Zooey was constantly making up her own rules on the set and on the show. Being the main character allowed her to voice her ideas, and more often than not, the showrunners would just make it work. One of those rules that she made up was that at the end of each episode, that it had to be her and another character. She's gotta be the last face you see before watching Big Bang Theory again. It's a great show, and if you hate it, you're just trying to be cool. Overall, she is not even close to the worst person on this list, but we gotta include her because she did make a PA quit out of frustration. But they're not considered people, so who cares? I was a PA, I'm allowed to make that joke. Number 5, Kate Gosselin. Kate, who you may know from her reality show Kate Plus 8, is reportedly very mean to the people she employs. In fact, they would go so far as to say that she is a terrible boss. Oh, I'm sorry for my language. A former nanny who worked for Gosselin revealed that Kate made her babysitter's life a living nightmare. Gosselin got famous for being a mother of 8. My mom comes from a family of 9, but you don't see a TV show for the Newfoundlanders. Now that would be good TV. Despite Kate coming from such a large family and having to take care of so many kids at once, she writes guidelines for the people that work for her. According to several of her former employees, most of Gosselin's nannies quit almost immediately after being hired. Some of the demands that Kate had included in the rule books were things like washing her expensive cutlery by hand and never placing them on the kitchen table. You had to just... The rule book also said that the staff would be meant to walk lightly, something that was to be taught to the kids as well. Now, I couldn't figure out what the term walk lightly means, but I'm imagining it means teaching the kids to walk like cat burglars from like a 60s cartoon, but that feels wrong for some reason. Number 4, Victoria Beckham. Victoria is talented in many ways, mainly known for being Posh Spice from the Spice Girls. Despite her larger-than-life persona on stage, offstage she is much more serious and straightforward. Her work ethic is very simple. Work and work hard. This method is taught to each and every one of her staff members. A former nanny revealed that Victoria was actually quite rude when it came to being a boss, going on to say that she expected all of her nannies to respond to the name Joe, even if their name wasn't Joe. The logic that some are suggesting is that maybe the Beckhams just didn't want their kids to be confused by the multiple nannies and names. They just needed to stick to one to refer to their staff, right? But at the same time, forcing your nannies to respond to a name that's not remotely similar to their own is very rude and annoying. Number 3, Naomi Campbell. Naomi is no stranger to a fiery tantrum or two. According to many people close to her, she has a short temper and some serious anger issues, so as you can imagine, being on her staff is nothing to celebrate about. Her history of mistreating staff is long and legendary. There were so many choices I could have put in this list. In 2000, Campbell was sued by her assistant Georgina Galanis. Apparently, Campbell whacked Georgina with a telephone in a hotel room and then told her she was going to throw her out of a moving car. She pleaded guilty to the charges, admitting that she lashed out in a fit of rage. In 2004, she supposedly headbutted an assistant, bit her lip, and yanked her to the floor, screaming, "F you, you worthless snitch!" Except she didn't say snitch. This woman cannot keep her hands to herself. She transforms into a UFC fighter every time she gets upset. In 2006, Campbell allegedly went after her housekeeper with a cell phone and just flung it right at her. In the past couple of years, more and more stories stories of former employees have been released, with the general consensus being that this lady is a menace and needs to take a chill pill. Number 2. Madonna. Madonna's voice is known around the world, but so is the fact that she can be a little bit mean from time to time. Not only have there been eyewitness accounts of her being rude to fans, but she's also a bit stingy when it comes to her staff. A few years back, an anonymous source revealed that when one of Madonna's dancers broke her arm during practice, that instead of being concerned and helping, Madonna had a full-blown meltdown, berating the dancer for being so bad at their job. There were also allegations that she said there shall be no fat country singers in her presence. Only she didn't say re-singers. Another source backed these stories up and added that Madonna does not pay very well, but she knows that she can pay people less to work for her for grueling hours because, hey, she's Madonna. There are probably some people out there who would work for a turkey sandwich just to be someone's assistant. White bread with lettuce, please. The source agreed that if there is one common theme with Madonna and her staff, it is that her ego overshadows them and they are supposed to feel lucky to be in her presence. Neither of the sources specified when they quit, but considering the stories, it sounded like they were with Madonna for quite some time. And at number 1, Courtney Love. Singer, actor, and wage thief Courtney Love has a bad habit of not paying her employees. According to some former assistants, she promises big things and fails to deliver on them constantly. In 2010, Love hired Jessica Labrie as her assistant. Courtney allegedly promised her lots of cool things, including bonuses, promotions, a scholarship to Yale, a job on the set of Nirvana's biopic, heck, even a job at Courtney's very own management company. Well, sign me up, man. That's a no-brainer. Only, if something sounds too good to be true, it almost always is. Of course, Jessica agreed to work for Courtney, but Love failed to deliver on any of her promises. There was no job on the Nirvana set, there was no scholarship to Yale, sometimes there wasn't even a paycheck. Labrie eventually sued Courtney for lost wages. Sure, she was mad that she didn't get any of the cool things that she was promised, but her main issue was the $2,000 that she was not paid. During the court proceedings, Jessica revealed that while working for Courtney, she was asked to hire a computer hacker to fake legal correspondence. What shady things did she want to cover up? Number 10. Thomas Gibson. Thomas made a name for himself starring as one of the leads of the series Criminal Minds. He was on the show for a few years, and in that time he made a few problems for those unfortunate enough to be staff members of the series. There were some issues over the years that would have warranted some actions, like screaming at producers and writers for not doing a good job, but the incident that got him kicked off the show for good involved, well, a kick. In 2016, Thomas was swiftly fired from the series after an incident with a writer named Virgil Williams. An internal investigation revealed that Thomas kicked Virgil one day during production of an episode that Gibson was directing. As I said, this was not the first incident on set that really should have resulted in some kind of a punishment though. In 2013, he pleaded no contest to No Juice related reckless driving after being arrested on suspicion of a DUI, and 3 years before that, he allegedly shoved an assistant director named Ian Wolfe during a late-night location scene. That led to the studio ordering Gibson to take 8 hours of anger management. According to most people on set, Thomas was a wild card. Some days he'd be friendly and accommodating, and then the next day he was ballistic. Number 9. Joaquin Phoenix. We understand a dedication to one's craft, and Joaquin is just a prime example. Joaquin's acting career has been going steady since he first appeared in the 1989 comedy Parenthood when he was in his mid-teens. While he's seen as one of the greatest actors in recent history, his reputation on set was tarnished thanks to a little freakout while filming the 2018 solo flick Joker. He appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the film when Jimmy played a behind-the-scenes clip of Joaquin getting loud and angry at a man named Larry, and the constant whispering behind the cameras before dropping an F-bomb and storming off the set. When the cameras came back to the studio, Joaquin was just frozen in shock. He was clearly not expecting that clip to ever see the light of day. He explained that Larry was a cinematographer who was teasing Joaquin off set earlier in the day, calling him a diva and referring to him as Cher. In fact, during his on-set outburst, you can hear him say, "Calling me Cher, how is that an insult?" He then explained that there's a lot of pressure on set, especially in a closed space like the apartment from the scene, and he apologized to the audience for having to see him behave in such a manner, which was met with applause. At the end of the day, he's a performer, and no harm came from this outburst, so if Larry's cool with it, we're cool with it. Number 8. Bill Murray Lake Toss. Bill Murray's gonna be on this list more than once and for good reasons. For this entry, we're talking about the film What About Bob and its extremely toxic set while filming. Bill Murray was really getting on his co-star's nerves, Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, literally berating and bullying this man between takes to get the best performance out of him. In the years since, he claimed that Richard encouraged him to do this, but Richard claims that that never happened and is a complete lie. Considering the incident that this entry is actually about though, he got off pretty easy. On the same set, Bill got into an altercation with producer Laura Ziskin, a woman who is so respected that she has an achievement award named after her. This woman was subject to Bill's diva behavior, and one day during a disagreement, Bill Murray picked her up and just tossed her into a lake. When describing the event, she claims that it was playful, but according to everyone else on the set, it was just the wrong word to use. Number 7, Jenna Ortega. Jenna participated in one of the most popular streaming shows of this year on Netflix, playing Wednesday Addams in Wednesday. The series really helped launch Jenna's already growing career, and of course the series was picked up for a second season. However, it seems that Jenna may end up writing that entire season herself, because the writers of season 1 just didn't do a great job according to her. A while back, and before the writer's strike, Jenna made comments about having to put her foot down on the set of Wednesday. According to her, the writing was just odd, and honestly, Jenna made so many good points. She felt that the things that Wednesday was doing made no sense. She was involved in a love triangle that was just weird and honestly distracted from all the good parts of the show, and some of the lines that she was supposed to say were cut after she expressed concerns. There was a line of dialogue that saw Wednesday say the words, "Oh my god, I love it. Ugh, I can't believe I just said that." To which Jenna said, "No, Wednesday is not some valley girl with an emo side. She chops the heads off siblings if they let her." She claims that a ton of writers will agree that she is difficult and unprofessional at times because that was the only way to make her character work. She'd literally changed the dialogue during a take, and then the writers were just constantly confused. Ortega has claimed to be very protective of her character and has every intention to make season 2 better in every way, dropping any love stories surrounding Wednesday and instead opting to dive in deep on the dark and macabre that Tim Burton is really known for. The writers released sarcastic statements claiming that Jenna should really just write the next season herself since she's so good at it. Okay, let her do it. It's probably gonna be great. Number 6, Justin Bieber. In 2015, Justin was performing on the Today Show, debuting his new song, What Do You Mean? During his performance, he got super excited and started dancing while singing, one normally would, but moments later he was caught on air dissing the camera operator, saying that he might as well not dance since the cameras don't even move. He said next time he won't dance, it seems like a waste of effort. He was visibly annoyed as he ended his time on the show. Fans of Justin were very quick to question his aggression in the moment. Before he was cut off by a commercial break, Justin starts to rant about what he even does this for, and if they're just gonna, and then he was cut off. Not long after this on-air mishap, Justin actually announced that he was gonna take a little break from music. The two seemed to be unrelated, but hey man, you never know. Maybe he had some real regrets when it comes to scolding a camera person that did nothing to you before that. But come on, out of all the mistreatment scandals surrounding Justin Bieber, this one's the silliest. When Justin appeared on the set of CSI, he actually upset an entire crew with his behavior. According to several eyewitness accounts, Justin locked a producer in a closet out of frustration and put his fist through a cake that was on the craft service table. Justin dismissed these claims as baseless rumors, but like a lot of people saw him doing that, so I don't know, you be the judge. Number 5, Barbara Cochran. Shark Tank, what a wonderful program. Seeing some up and coming entrepreneurs get their start thanks to the endorsement and partnership of the Sharks. One of the Sharks, Barbara Cochran, was blasted online after a resurfaced clip showed her saying how much she loved to fire people. Firing someone is a difficult conversation, doesn't usually end well for both people involved. However, for Barbara, it's her favorite thing in the entire world. These comments resurfaced as there is a labor shortage across the US, so that didn't help. In an interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast, she revealed that she loves firing people, especially on Fridays. What she loves to do is pop by someone's desk on Wednesday, book an appointment for Friday. Instead of giving them a proper reason for firing though, she'll actually just tell them that, she's not really sure why, they just don't really fit with the company. I don't know what makes this woman think it is a fun thing to be fired, but nonetheless, people are fuming. Many fans simply wonder if she owns a Dalmatian coat. More than likely. Number 4, Christina Aguilera. There have been a few instances of Christina being a menace to her staff or just people that she's worked with in the past. Today we're going to focus on her time as a judge on The Voice. According to several sources close to the show, she was a nightmare to work with. Apparently she always shows up late and just doesn't seem to care or apologize for holding up filming of the show. To make things worse, she is constantly arguing with Adam Levine. As early as 2012, insiders told production on The Voice that they much preferred Adam Levine to Christina. Apparently the makeup crew of the show acts as a NASCAR pit team. Every time herself and Adam get heated, whether it's on or off camera, she's directed to the makeup team to cool off. They then apply product to her face like she's Ricky Bobby in the middle of a race. According to producers, she made outrageous demands, including the introduction of a foot massager to the staff. Someone's only job on set was to massage Christina's feet every 30 minutes. No thank you. Number 3, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis. Now, it may come as a shock to you that 2 of the 4 members of the legendary Ghostbusters just kinda despised each other, but it turns out that this is very much the case. While filming Bill's more popular film Groundhog Day, it turns out that the star was in a rough place. According to the crew, he tormented Harold, the director of the project, constantly, showing up late, being consistently unavailable, and just being overall really mean. Apparently the main cause for concern was just Bill's overall feelings about the movie. He took issue with the way it was filmed, some of the dialogue he had to say, and just seemed to disagree with Harold about everything. Despite their collaborations before this on movies like Ghostbusters and Caddyshack, they just did not see eye to eye on anything. Bill wanted this movie to be more serious and philosophical, but Harold had to constantly remind him it was a comedy. At the end of the day, the constant arguments made a terrible time on set. Number 2, Katherine Heigl. Kathy was riding high back in 2007. The former Grey's Anatomy star not only won an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, but she also began transitioning to the big screen with the success of her first feature film, Knocked Up, alongside comedy legend Seth Rogen. Now, unfortunately, her rise to the top quickly became a free fall into an active volcano, following an ill-fated Vanity Fair interview the following January. In the interview, Katherine made a move that still has people scratching their heads to this day. She openly bashed the film that made her famous, claiming that it painted women as shrew, humorless, and uptight, while also placing blame on Seth Rogen for writing the men as lovable, goofy, and fun. The film still sits at an impressive 89% on Rotten Tomatoes because, now while she might claim the project was problematic, the final product is just a fun love story filled with good jokes and performances and a good story. Seth felt betrayed by the comments as they never had a fight on set and it never seemed like she was uncomfortable at any point. These comments, combined with some negativity towards her Grey's Anatomy writers, caused her agents to drop her as a client, and her time in Hollywood quickly came to a screeching halt. And at number 1, Bill Murray and Lucy Liu. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was massively successful thanks to its stars, Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and of course Lucy Liu as the titular angels. This movie was filled with action, comedy, and one of the weirdest performances ever given by Crispin Glover. That dude needs help. One interesting addition to the cast, though, was the inclusion of Bill Murray as the main man behind the mic, Bosley. Now apparently the set was anything but a comedy though after Bill found out a scene was rewritten while he was away. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and Bill Murray's outburst. Apparently Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be refilmed, and instead of using a stand-in, they just decided that it could go on without Murray's character being involved. So the scene was filmed and that was that. When he returned to find that the changes were made while he was gone, he was furious. He reportedly shouted at half of the crew, including Lucy herself. At the time, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director, and she asked Bill if he was talking to her, and apparently that sent him into a meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy's pretty proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and so far it looks like Bill's career has suffered from it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior, but we could do a whole top 10 list about Bill Murray. Number 10, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro was brought to court thanks to an ex-assistant, and he lost. Robert's production company was found liable this past week for gender discrimination and retaliation and were ordered to pay $1.3 million to Graham Chase Robinson. While Robert himself was not found guilty, his company was. Graham accused De Niro of workplace mistreatment during her time as his assistant and financial advisor. Between 2008 and 2019, her life was a living nightmare. Robert had apparently been subjecting her to inappropriate behavior on a lot of levels. The allegations range from Robert swearing and hurling insults to asking Robinson to scratch his back. Literally. He admitted to almost all of the accusations but gave excuses for each one. For instance, it was only 2 back scratches, okay? No big deal. Robinson claimed that she quit during a full-on mental breakdown after being overwhelmed by the work and Robert's role as her boss. She's not worked in over 4 years despite applying for a reported 643 jobs. In that time, she estimated losing around $12 million, both monetarily and mentally. The jury calculated the exact amount that she would have earned had Robert not bullied her into submission, which was not $12 million, but like I said, somewhere closer to 1.3. That is still a lot of money. As I said, Robert De Niro was not personally responsible, so the payout came from his production company, but he has maintained that his assistant exaggerated their claims for profit. Number 9. Madonna. Madonna's voice is known around the world, but so much so in fact that she can be a bit mean from time to time. Not only have there been eyewitness accounts of her being rude to fans, but she is also a bit stingy when it comes to her staff. A few years back, an anonymous source revealed that when one of Madonna's dancers broke her arm during practice, instead of being more concerned and helping, she had a full-on meltdown, berating the dancer for being so bad at their job. There was also allegations that she said there will be no fat country singers in her presence, only she didn't say re-singers. Another source backed these stories up and added that Madonna does not pay very well, but she knows that she can pay people to work grueling hours for low income because, hey, she's Madonna. There are probably some people out there who would work for a turkey sandwich just to be someone's assistant. White bread with lettuce, please. The source agreed that if there is one common theme with Madonna and her staff, it's that her ego overshadows them, and they're supposed to feel lucky to be in her presence. Neither source specified when they quit, but considering the stories, it sounded like they were with Madonna for quite some time. Number 8. Lizzo. It was recently revealed that a lawsuit was filed against the famous pop singer Lizzo, accusing her of creating a toxic work environment and mistreating her background dancers. The accusations range from fat shaming her crew to forcing them to eat strange fruit from strange places. Yum yum. One of the dancers, Crystal Davies, who is part of the lawsuit, was fired for secretly recording a meeting between herself and Lizzo. The meeting was about the dancer's performance on stage recently, and Lizzo apparently disliking the weight that she had been gaining, claiming that she wasn't committing to her role. According to the plaintiffs, Lizzo made them work ridiculous hours, including up to 12-hour rehearsal days. One of the dancers recounted an experience of having to use the washroom and being forced to do it in her pants while rehearsing so that she didn't lose any time. Like, hey, Lizzo, if someone has to use the bathroom, just let them go. It took longer for them to get that poor woman a new pair of pants than it would have to just let her take 5 minutes. When the news broke, the world collectively turned on Lizzo, and so far have believed every single word that has been said. Now, while Lizzo continues to deny the allegations, her career has gotten worse and worse. A lot of her live stage shows have been canceled, her music's been pulled from radio stations, and there is still currently an investigation taking place. So, it's not good. It's not good for Lizzie. Number 7. Rihanna. A lot of one-name artists on this list. Is it really a shock to learn that Rihanna does not talk to the hired help? Well, ignoring somebody is one of the meanest things that you can do to a person, making them feel like they don't exist or are not even on the same level as you, and they don't deserve to even be acknowledged. Like, that just hurts. Most celebrities know how not to do that, but others seem to only have this negative setting in their soul. Over the years, it's been said that pop singing sensation Rihanna doesn't even look or speak to her staff. An anonymous source revealed that Rihanna literally refers to staff as the hired help. She also falls asleep when she's getting her makeup done, which must be great for everyone involved with that. Just Rihanna snoring in a chair. She's just warming up her vocal cords. It's fine. It's fine. Rihanna is also known for being pretty rude to her fans as well. One lady won backstage passes for herself and her family, but when they got back to do their meet and greet portion of the tickets, Rihanna didn't even look at them and asked one of her assistants to come sign something for them, sitting in her makeup chair like a Disney villain shooing people away. Number 6. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is known for a lot of things. A Star is Born, her music career, but for ex-assistant Jennifer O'Neill, Lady Gaga is simply known as evil. O'Neill filed a lawsuit against her former boss in 2013 for $400,000, the money that she claimed that she was owed from her time working as Gaga's assistant. Clapping back against the claims, Gaga got heated. Try saying that 10 times fast. She counterclaimed that she was forced to do most of the assistant's work herself, complaining that she was forced to carry large bags to her room all by herself, like a normal person. Ugh. O'Neal worked with Gaga for 13 months on a $75,000 salary and accompanied her on her Monster Ball World Tour. In trying to justify her actions as a boss, she admitted to partying late at night, sleeping in all day, and literally screaming in the streets. During the court hearing for the case, she also launched into an F-word fueled tirade, swearing over and over at Jennifer. Gaga was basically blasting this woman with allegations and just claiming that everything she was saying was false. Gaga claimed that Jennifer was always made to be an equal on tour, where Jennifer claims to have been overwhelmed with work. Instead of paying O'Neal the damages, Gaga claimed that she was going to spread the wealth to the people that currently work for her, aka the ones who really deserve it. Eventually they were able to settle the situation outside of court, but that exact dollar exchange is not known. Number 5, Christian Bale. Rumors that the former Batman actor is mean to his co-stars and his crew have run rampant for years, ever since his infamous voice recording captured on the set of Terminator Judgment Day. For those of you who don't know, he shouted at a guy for being in his line of sight during a take. Basically it. However, a former publicist of Christian's named Harrison Chung shared a ton of behind-the-scenes stories, including the fact that Christian was a very mean person, to the point where he literally made little kids cry when they approached him as fans. Instead of appreciating his reach and enjoying his time with fans, he reportedly responds to them with anger and a lecture about personal space. Chung claimed that working for Christian was a nightmare, so much so that he had to take years of therapy. There have been a few stories regarding Christian and his anger over the years, but making kids cry and forcing this guy to go to therapy means there is seriously a problem with Christian Bale. Number 4, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen had one of the most successful daytime talk shows of all time right up until 2020. Her show became overwhelmed with accusations of toxic work environment from former employees. There were claims that Ellen's happy exterior was nothing more than a facade put in place to keep her audience on her team. A small bit of proof came when she accused 50 Shades of Grey actress Dakota Johnson for not inviting her to a birthday party, and Dakota reminded her that she actually did do that, but she never got a response back. Fans started questioning this awkward moment, and the cracks in Ellen's appearance began to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, an article was released containing testimonies from several former employees, so much so that she was forced to cancel herself and her show for good. Number 3, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian is arguably the most famous of her Kardashian sisters and would also seem to be the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand that she attends law school, co-founded an equity team, and recently even hopped on the podcast train, in addition to filming her new reality show on Hulu. Now you may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all of this by herself? She pays people to do her job, of course. She has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above this overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by their nanny, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table far away from them, but she is known to make her nannies walk at least 10 feet away from them at all times, unless she has multiple people with her, and then she makes them walk behind her like a flying V formation because it looks cool. If they walk near her or attempt to walk side by side, she just kind of blows up and screams at them behind closed doors. Needless to say, she's had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. Number 2, Kourtney Kardashian. Now, while Kim may not be the best boss in the world, Kourtney Kardashian is known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it needs to be, she is also known for being super cheap, even once calling a grocery store while she was shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney Kardashian. But this isn't the worst thing that she's done. At one point, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to act properly. She berated the nanny, telling her that she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Cause yes, blame the women that you're paying to raise your kids instead of the kid itself, who probably has abandonment issues. Number 1, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan, but she is also extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she was on the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following a partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, which is a beauty salon company. This would allow the brand, previously only available online and in stores that randomly popped up here and there, to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. Unfortunately, the true nature of where these products come from made people kind of step back a bit. Many employees at the factory that mix and package these makeups and beauty products have reported that they were never given proper safety equipment that you would require to do your job. Like, they were only given hair nets, lab coats, and safety goggles, which meant that their hands were just good and free to get burned, and their faces were as well. Workers would regularly report migraines, chemical burns, all that fun stuff. But if this isn't bad enough, they were also forced to act as human test subjects for Kylie's products. Kylie was so proud of her company not testing things on animals, but I believe testing things on people is just so much worse. Just a little bit evil. She's a supervillain.